The poker machine deal struck between Tasmania's new Independent Andrew Wilkie and Labor last week has been hailed as a big step forward in addressing problem gambling. But it has the pokie machine industry worried. Under the deal, a Gillard government would introduce laws by 2014 allowing gamblers to nominate the amount of money they're prepared to spend before they begin playing. Anti-gambling activists say a national network of poker machines programmed to shut out gamblers once they exceed their limit will be essential to the success of the system. But will it work? Thea de Chaos reports.
Like many of the 4,000 registered clubs around Australia, the SANDGATE RSL, an hour north of Brisbane, relies heavily on the revenue raised by pokies to survive. But what's different about this club is that since 2007, patrons have been offered smart cards which allow players to nominate the amount of money they're willing to gamble, and once they reach that limit, the machine locks them out.
The comments we get back from our patrons here is that they are much more aware of the amount of money they've used and the time they've spent on the machines. So if that's an indicator that will stop them going past their limits, it's a great thing.
This kind of consumer constraint is what's known as pre-commitment technology for pokies.
Basically, at this point in time, at the life expectancy of the system, they are stopped using their card. So for them to play on, they would have to take their card out of the machine and physically load cash in. But in the future, the systems would be, once they've reached their limit on their card, that would be it for 24 hours.
Now, under the agreement struck between Tasmanian Independent Andrew Wilkie and the Labor Party, if the Labor Party retains government, pokey gamblers across Australia will be asked to name their gambling limit.
The Prime Minister has agreed that should she form the next government, the government will work to implement pre-commitment technologies on every poker machine in Australia by 2014.
When Tasmanian Independent Andrew Wilkie won the Labor Party's support for pre-commitment technology, problem gambling crusaders welcomed the deal.
So pre-commitment still preserves your right to play, allows you to have choice over your losses. This is a very good deal.
It's a shocking deal that was done behind closed doors without the involvement of groups who are impacted directly by it.
The move quickly drew the ire of the pokies industry and its dependent stakeholders, such as Clubs Australia, fearful of falls in revenue and the costs a pre-commitment system will impose on them.
Australia is a large country with 200,000 poker machines, a lot of them operating in our not-for-profit clubs. There's a vast logistical and technology challenge here that hasn't been thought through.
Productivity Commission said 40% of revenue comes from problem gamblers. Clubs said, oh, it's only 23%. Still $800 million, plenty of money there to actually meet the cost.
Clubs Australia describes a mandatory card system to play the pokies as a licence to gamble and says it will drive ordinary players away from the pokies and the clubs and push gamblers to online gaming.
We know that 99.5% of the adult population are not problem gamblers, but they will effectively be treated as such. You're looking at our recreational gamblers, people who just come for social play, going online now. Why would they register for and be licensed to play a poker machine when they can jump online in the privacy of their own home and bet on their credit card?
You're talking 160,000 people who are problem gamblers, addicted, no free choice, according to the Productivity Commission, up to another 300,000 on the cusp or verge of becoming problem gamblers. So 500,000 Australians who affect another 10 people each.
Since the 1950s, pioneering pokies tycoon Len Ainsworth has built a multi-million-dollar empire from poker machines. He doesn't believe that a pre-commitment system will effectively deal with problem gamblers.
The real solution is to have a look at the 0.6% of people who are problem gamblers and do something to sort them out from a psychological or psychiatric viewpoint.
The industry, for the 15 years I've been campaigning, have told me to shut up. No one's forced to gamble. It's just free choice. As soon as there's a system to give free choice for a gambler to set their limits. They're screaming, this is an infringement of civil liberties. This shows, I think, the naked hypocrisy.
Phillip is Chief Executive of Responsible Gaming Networks, a company that develops technologies for the gaming industry. He says an effective pre-commitment system will need to ensure that once players reach their limit, they're stopped and can't gamble elsewhere. Smart card technology used in systems like the one in Nova Scotia in Canada has had its problems.
Players were given simple plastic magnetic stripe cards with PIN numbers, and they were asked to set limits, and they were stopped when they reached their limit. The problem was that the academic research identified that over 1/3 of players were sharing their cards, and this was causing a major problem, in particular amongst problem gamblers who were the highest card sharers.
Phillip says new technologies like a fingerprint-activated USB key is a more secure way to address the problem of card sharing.
Well, what we've got here is a biometric USB key. It's like a normal USB key. It's got a fingerprint reader on it. It's asking you to scan your finger and to confirm that you are the owner of this key.
Anti-pokey campaigners point to Norway, where the government has gone further and it sets the gambling limit.
Norway had a huge pokies problem where they had them in 7-Elevens and shops, and massive rise of addiction because pokies are the crack cocaine of gambling in whatever country you're in. And they've put in a system where now they've got it under control. You can only lose $70 a day there.
We are happy to talk about pre-commitment and get a pre-commitment system up that is effective and cost-effective, not this licence to gamble system that is uniform across Australia and that is introduced by 2014, probably at great expense to clubs.
If a Labor government is formed, it will be up to a parliamentary committee to examine the design and implementation of a future pre-commitment scheme for Australia.
There to chaos with that report.